Hey guys, welcome back to the Michigan Fisherman. Today we're reviewing the Lifetime Teton Angler 100. I'm going to tell you what I like about the kayak, what I don't like about the kayak. I'm going to show you how I set this kayak up when I go out on the water. We're going to go out on the water, we're going to do a stand-up test, we're going to try standing and fishing from the kayak, and at the very end, I'm going to tell you whether or not I would buy this kayak again. So stay tuned and let's get into it. Starting off with a handle. I'm not a big fan of this handle, guys. It's held on by this little string. I could see that eventually ripping or breaking. And because it's held on in this sort of fashion, when you're dragging your kayak through the woods or wherever you're going, because this handle tilts like this, the whole kayak will sometimes tilt. And if you have anything on your kayak, like a crate, things are falling off. So I'm not a real big fan of that handle in the front. The logo on the front, I mean, it's merely cosmetic, but it looks really good. It's bolted in there, it looks really clean. I like that logo on the front, the Lifetime logo. The bungees in the front, these work really well, guys. The only thing I really put under here is my tackle box, my 3700 series tackle box, but it holds it in there really good. If you need to put a coat or something in there, it also works very well for that. I've done that in the past too. Also near the front of the kayak, you have this small space here. This is designed solely for water bottles. I use it sometimes to hold a Gatorade bottle. I wish it had a cup holder or something like that. It is sufficient, but this thing also fills up with water, dirty water, when you're kayaking. So if you do put a water bottle in there, you need to always wipe the top of your bottle off before you use it, because it's going to get dirty. These cutouts on the side here, guys, these are made to be able to put your paddle across the front of the boat and just kind of rest it there. These are absolutely worthless. If you put your paddle here, it's going to fall off. It falls off every time, even in the most calm waters. So I mean, it was a good idea, but it's absolutely worthless. It might work if you were to line it with some kind of rubber or some kind of gripping material, but as is, absolutely worthless. The rail systems on this, these are very nice, guys. You got one on each side. They're very easy to reach. If you need to put a rod holder, if you need to put a fish finder on there, it's going to work out really, really well for you. It holds all kinds of different varieties of mounts, like Scotty mounts, Yak Attack mounts. It works for everything, and they're really, really nice. I do enjoy these a lot. All right, guys, one thing I love about this kayak are these footrests. These footrests, although they don't look like much, they're amazing, okay? I've tried out other kayaks that have adjustable ones, or they have these pegs that are bigger. I'm telling you, these are extremely comfortable. They're the most comfortable I've seen. And you can quickly and easily switch to different ones to give your legs a rest or to give them a stretch. This is probably the best design for footrests that I can think of. In the middle of the kayak, you have this area. Now this, at first I didn't understand what it's for, but then I realized it's to mount a fish finder or to mount a rod holder, anything you might want to mount. And my buddy, he gave me one of these Scotty mounts, and if you see here, this Scotty mount, although I never use it, it fits perfectly in there with those holes that are kind of marked for you to drill. So if you're using one of these Scotty mounts to put either a fish finder or a rod holder, this area is going to be absolutely perfect for you. And then if you need to wire anything, you can take this little cap off, and then you have access to put your wires into there, where you can take your wires out and maybe run it to your battery. You could run it down through this hole, underneath the seat, and then if you wanted to, you could pop the wiring back out and then take it to the back where you mount it to a battery or something like that. So that's a nice feature. I personally don't use it, but I'm sure a lot of people would really enjoy that feature on it. And another thing this can be used for, guys, is a paddle leash. I don't use a paddle leash. I probably should, but if you do have a paddle leash, you could secure it perfectly to this, and it's a really great spot. This kayak has 6 scupper holes. You have 2 in the front, 2 underneath the seat, and then you have 2 more in the back of the kayak. Scupper holes are nice. They help water drain. Sometimes they're a little annoying when water comes up through them, especially dirty, foamy water. But overall, it is nice to have some kind of draining system where if a big wave comes over the boat, it drains out easily instead of having to get a cup or something else to, bail that water out. Now the seat on the Lifetime Teton, it's extremely comfortable. It's probably the main reason I purchased this kayak. I knew I was going to be on the water for many hours, and I've been in kayaks that don't have comfortable seats, and I'm telling you what, after about 2 hours, you're done, your back hurts. This thing is amazing. It's got straps on the side, which I've already loosened just to show you how adjustable this thing is. If you really wanted to lean back, give your back a rest, you can do that. You want to you know, have the back go really far up. I've done that before while paddling really hard. Sometimes I like to have the back really far up when I'm trying to get a lot of speed and paddle back before a storm or something like that. I usually leave it at about a position like this. You just tighten up the straps. I'm telling you, you're not going to find a more comfortable seat in a kayak at this price range, guys. You just won't. When you purchase the kayak, it comes with these little clips. These fit into here and it just holds the seat in a little better. I personally never use them because they're a little cheap. I feel like they're gonna fall off when I'm towing this thing on top of my car, and I don't really need it. Even when I'm leaning back on this thing, this seat never pops out. You think it would, but it never does. So I personally don't use these clips, but I still have them in case I ever resell the kayak or something like that. Underneath the seat, I already showed you guys that the scupper holes are underneath here. I showed you this little area that you can unscrew to run the wiring. It's also got this area right here. I'm not sure exactly what's that for. It may be used for the clips on the back of the seat. It's got these clips here. Maybe you could clip it to it in case you were to capsize. It would hold the seat to the kayak. I'm not really sure what those are for or what that area is for, but it does have it in case you need it. One thing I enjoy about the scupper holes being underneath the seat is it's a perfect place to run the wiring for my transducer of the fish finder down to the bottom of the kayak. The side handles on the kayak, these are much nicer than the ones in the front. They're very ergonomic. They feel very nice in the hand. They don't twist around because they're bolted on two sides. Obviously, they have to be. I really enjoy the handles on the side. Then you have this cheap little bungee strap. It's come untied a few times. This is made to hold your paddle. When you have the paddle going across here, you just take the bungee and you wrap it right on top of there. It does the job, but it is really cheap. I wish I had a slightly better option, but then again, I haven't had an issue with it at all, other than the fact that it sometimes comes untied and then I just have to retie the knot. Moving more towards the back of the kayak, you have two rod holders, one on each side here. I absolutely hate these rod holders. When you do have a rod in here, the angle that it comes out on is such an odd angle that as you're paddling, you constantly hit the reels of your paddle due to the angle of this rod holder. Honestly, they're pretty much garbage for me. The only thing I do like about these things is it's a pretty good spot to put my net when I go out fishing. So I've been using that as a spot to put my net. It works out pretty good. And that's the only thing I use these rod holders for right now. The back cargo area, it's pretty nice. These bungees, they're great. The only problem I had with mine is they gave me two different size bungee cords. They're supposed to be the same length. I went to Dick's Sporting Goods later and looked at them, and sure enough, they're supposed to be the same length. But for some reason, mine were two different sizes. Now, it actually works out well for me for the way I put my crate in here, that they are two different sizes. But when you're picking one up, if you do pick one up, just make sure they're the same size, guys. As you can see, I store the wiring for my transducer on those bungees. I just wrap up the wiring, and then I use one of these Night Eyes gear ties, and I strap it on, and I have no problem driving down the road with that in that fashion. I know that's not really part of the kayak, but I thought I'd show you while I have it there. The sticker on the side, it's pretty cheap. I mean, it's peeling off. I know it's just a cosmetic thing. I don't really care about it. If that's something you're really worried about, you're not going to like the sticker, you're going to want to put something else on there. Another sticker on the back there just showing it's made in the USA or designed in the USA. You got your warning sticker in the back. In the very back of the kayak, you have your drain plug. It works out all right. It's kind of in an awkward position. It's hard to drain the water. I wish I just moved a little bit over into the corner so I can get the water out easier. But overall, it's not that bad. In the back, you have another one of these terrible handles. I'm telling you, like if you do need to carry this around, the way this pivots, and like I said, it's held on by a little string. I'm always afraid that's going to break or tear or rip. And they could have done a lot better job designing that part of the kayak. Here's a quick view of the bottom of this kayak. I'm really impressed by the design of this thing. This thing tracks unbelievably well through the water, as I'll show you later in the on the water part of the review. And another thing I really enjoy about the design is that I can mount my transducer in the scupper hole, and it is low enough in there that I can drag this thing on the grass without hitting the transducer. Absolutely love that. I don't have to put this transducer on and off every time I take it on the water. Phenomenal design. I really like it. Now when I go out on the water, my kayak doesn't look like this. It looks more like this. Obviously I don't take kid poles out with me on the water. These are merely here to show you how it would look with regular poles, since my ceiling's only 10 foot tall and the boat's already elevated. So let's take a look at my normal setup, guys. Alright, in the front of the kayak I keep a 3700 series Plano tackle box. This is the only tackle box I bring with me on the water. The only other thing I bring with me as far as baits is a Ziploc bag full of soft plastics, which I'll show you in a second. Moving along, we have the Scotty rod holder. It's adjustable. I keep it just as is, or sometimes I'll pivot it out to the side if I'm trying to troll for different types of fish, although I've never caught one trolling. I know I will one day, but it can be used for that. In the middle I have my Garmin Striker 4 fish finder. Currently it's just sitting right here. It's not mounted anything. It can move around. Eventually I'd like to mount it to the rail, but for now it just sits there. It's kind of ghetto, but you know what? It serves its purpose, and if I do get a fish, I can move this around, get it out of my way, put the fish down to perhaps unhook it or do whatever I need to do. On the very back of the kayak, that's where I keep my anchor. I normally keep it more in the middle here, but I'm trying to balance my kayak on the sawhorse here. I almost always bring an anchor out with me, guys, and if I don't, it's because I'm bringing a stakeout pole in really shallow waters. Behind my seat, I have my milk crate. I got everything I need in here. I got a bag of soft plastics, winter hat, water bottles. I have my scale. Have my grippers for if I catch a pike, extra line, suntan lotion, suntan spray, and then of course, I fish in the marsh a lot. You gotta have bug spray when you go out in the marsh. A few extra baits sitting in here, and then in the bottom here is where I keep the battery for my fish finder. That's where the wires go. They go up and around, nothing special. But that's how I keep all my gear in the back right now. On the milk crate is where I put my 3 rods as I'm going out to where I'm fishing. And then like I said earlier in the video, I like to keep my net in that rod holder because as a rod holder it's useless, but it's a really nice place to store my net. So that's my setup, guys. It's pretty simple, like I said, not much to it. And this is all I ever need when I go out fishing, either in the marsh or Lake St. Clair or any other lake that's around here in Michigan. And this is really more than enough gear. So how does this kayak do out on the water? Let's take it out there and find out. All right, guys, so now we're going to begin the on the water part of the review of this kayak. Now, one thing I love about this kayak, it paddles very easily. You can go very fast because it is very small. If you need to turn, I mean, look at, it's extremely easy to turn. That's one thing you don't get when you get some of these bigger kayaks. You can't turn it really quickly. So stop, you can stop quickly, you can start quickly, you can turn quick. I really enjoy that part of this kayak. Another thing I love about this kayak is that when you stop paddling, it tracks really nicely. You go pretty straight. I've done another review earlier this year where when I stopped paddling that kayak, it was the Pelican. And when I stopped paddling in that kayak, I mean, I was going all over. I was almost doing a 360, whereas again, I stopped paddling. I'm going pretty straight down this channel here. So I really enjoy that part of it. And another thing I really enjoy about this kayak is how comfortable it is to sit in. The seat is extremely comfortable. These foot pegs, they're perfect no matter what kind of footwear you're using. You could be wearing boots, shoes, barefoot. The way these pegs are set up, I love it. Your feet never feel like they're going to slip off. That's one thing when I first bought this thing, I thought, oh, my feet might slip off all the time. No, they never do. It's extremely comfortable no matter how you want to put your feet. Keep putting them at different angles, just, you know, stretch out your legs. I love it. Extremely comfortable to sit in and paddle. No issues with that at all. Another thing I really enjoy about this kayak is the rail system. It's mounted in the perfect location. If I have a rod holder on here and I need to be able to get the rod out of it, I don't have to reach uncomfortably like in some of these kayaks I've seen. If I see a fish over there in the little pocket in the reeds over there, I can easily just get the rod out and take a quick cast over there. Simple. Now, one thing people ask me all the time when they see my kayak is, can you stand in it? And the short answer is, yes, you can. But then again, you can stand in almost any sit-on-top kayak as long as you have pretty good balance or you're really determined to do so. So the better question is,
should you stand on this kayak? So let's give it a quick test, stand up on it, and I'll tell you how I feel about that, all right? All right. So getting to a standing position, not really difficult at all. I'm 6'2", 170 pounds, and that was pretty easy for me. It doesn't feel extremely stable doing this. I wouldn't want to do it for a long period of time unless I was just, you know, I would want to only do it if I was going to be stretching my legs out or something like that. Fishing on it. Can you fish on it? Sure you can. I'm sure I can cast. The only thing I'm worried about is, say I were to hook into a fish, right? How am I going to set that hook without falling over when I already feel pretty unstable on this thing as it is, you know? I got hundreds of dollars worth of gear in this kayak. Last thing I want to do is fall overboard while catching a fish. So I guess my answer to the question, should you stand in this kayak? Probably a no. I mean, I almost just fell over right there trying to reel this in. So yeah, you can stand in it, you can stretch your legs, you can kind of get away with fishing in it, but I absolutely cannot recommend safely standing in this kayak, guys.
So one of the big questions you're probably wondering is, if I could, would I buy this kayak again? It's kind of a tough question because currently Dick's Sporting Goods is selling this kayak for around $450. But 2 years ago, in May of 2020, I purchased the same kayak for $350. Now for $350, absolutely I would purchase this kayak again. That's an amazing deal. It's got an extremely comfortable seat. It's very maneuverable. It tracks really well. It's a great kayak to fish out of. At $450 though, I mean, that's kind of tough to say. For a few hundred more dollars, you could buy an extremely nice kayak that you could stand up and fish in, be very comfortable all day. But then again, all kayaks have gone up in price. So at this price range, honestly guys, you're not going to find a better deal. If you're looking to spend about $400 to $500, absolutely buy this kayak. You're going to love it, I promise you. I hope you enjoyed my review, guys. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing if you're not already subscribed. What kind of kayak would you like me to review in the future? Leave a comment below, let me know, and perhaps I'll be able to do that for you guys. So thanks again for watching, and until next time guys, tight lines.